issue that should not be partisan at all. How we combat child sex trafficking in the United States of America, specifically in the hotbeds of trafficking. Well, in California, which is a Democrat-run state, but there are a lot of Republicans in the state legislature there. It's a big state, very diverse. Put forward bipartisan legislation that would turn child trafficking of teenagers and children younger than 18 and make it a serious felony on par with arson, and rape, which would bring longer prison terms and potential life sentences without a chance for a plea bargain. So kind of the three strikes and you're out when it comes to these 25 to life sentences. And yet, a handful of Democrats in the California legislature blocked this move, now protecting child traffickers from more severe sentences by saying that putting them in prison doesn't stop anything.
All evidence has shown that longer sentences don't actually stop things from happening. All they do is increase our investment in systems of harm and subjugation at the expense of the investments that the communities needed to not have this be a problem to begin with.
This shouldn't be a low-level felony. So what he's not telling you the truth there, the assemblyman, is that this legislation, Logan, took this from being a regular crime, which is still a serious crime, but then would again elevate it to being a serious crime. And then if it's considered a serious crime, you can make these penalties that are much more severe. And by the way, we're not talking about recidivism here. We're talking about literally your 3 strikes, you're out, and you're spending the rest of life in prison. So that trafficker would be off the streets for good.
When this topic is sort of the number one topic right now that people are discussing this week, to have something like this happen, it's just heartbreaking and sad. So I think we have to always get engaged in these issues and figure out ways that we can get involved.
Because of a handful of Democrats on a committee who were opposed to ever extending longer prison sentences. They don't care what it's for. They think that putting people in prison for long term is just bad policy. But we've got Gavin Newsom and probably the majority of the Democrats in the state legislature who were willing to vote for this in a bipartisan show of support for those who have been trafficked so that we can go after the traffickers in the state.
The aim of the Democrats here is to empty the prisons. We just want to empty the prisons because the prisons are places of harm and subjugation. Well, of course they're places of subjugation, and they're not intended to be pleasant places, but they're intended to be places where people who cannot comport to the norms of society are put. The Senate Bill 14 in California, which was defeated by most of the Democrats' votes the other day, would classify trafficking of children and teenagers younger than 18 as a serious felony. In other words, it would raise it on a par with murder, arson, and rape, and would bring long prison terms and potential life sentences without a chance for plea bargaining. Plea bargaining is where you promise a lesser crime if someone will plead to that in exchange for a greater crime. That is done away with. You serve the crime that you plead to or that you're convicted of, and you go away.
It already passed the state Senate. So this is just at the California Assembly, their version of like a state house. So the state Senate with a lot of Democrats passed this. This is a handful of radical Democrats on this committee who are against basically incarceration. They believe that, again, we have overly incarcerated in the United States. And listen, I think there are some crimes we probably have. But this one, when it comes to human trafficking, I think you can separate that from all the other debates and say an individual or cartel or organized crime unit that would take teenage children away from their families and traffic them so that they can sell them for sex acts should be punished as serious felonies. In California right now, that definition of serious felonies does not apply to a sex trafficker.